Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I am Rick Weaver. I am joined by my partner Blake Duckworth and by our special guest tonight, Mr. Michael Patterson. Michael is from Virginia. Michael had a run in with a Sasquatch, a white Sasquatch, back in the summer of 1989. Michael is here tonight to share his story with everyone and to shed a little light on the behavior of these creatures. There's a lot of people that has approached me over the years that I've been doing this that seem to believe that Sasquatch are teddy bears. Well, Michael's here tonight to tell everyone different, to give them a different outlook and a different perspective on these creatures. Michael, take it away, buddy.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here. First off, and yeah, my incident happened in summer of 1989. It was real hot. I mean, it was the kind of heat you remember. You know, it really sticks with you that it's so hot. And it was six friends and myself. We'd all decided, everybody wanted to go drink, and I kind of volunteered to drive designated. I was going to drink later on in the evening. But, we all got my buddy. He had a four-wheel drive Toyota pickup, and we all jumped in it. And I mean, we tried to get lost. We put in four-wheel drive and went up to a place where we were somewhat familiar with. We crappie fished a lot. And we went back down the woods, and pretty much tried to get lost. And we come out on an old road. I'd been out on it once or twice before during the day, but I had never spent any time much there at night. And, we found a place that looked, pretty cool. And we just pulled over and, everybody got out and, we were getting a drink on and, we were listening to the radio. And, we didn't have a radio real loud. I mean, we didn't want to have to holler over it to talk to one another. But, everybody got to drinking and stuff. We've been there probably, I don't know, about half an hour. Let me digress for a second. Uh, One of the people that was with us was a female. She would sneak out, to be with her boyfriend, which is one of my other friends, and that'll be important here in a little while. I just need to let you guys know. One of them was female, and anyway, we'd been there about I don't know half hour or so, and just we had a big fishing tournament coming up, and we was kind of ribbing each other and joking and discussing tactics or whatnot. And man, I was standing, on the driver's side of the truck with the door open, leaned up against the bed, talking to everybody, and I guess it's about 50 to 75 yards deep back behind me. We heard it was a huge crash, and I don't know if it was a tree being pushed over or something jumping out of a tree. I don't know. To this day, I'm not sure which one of those it was. But right after that, we started hearing footsteps, and I mean, I've been in the mountains, and in the woods all my life, and I mean, I heard about everything it is out there, and this thing sounded like a man, but it was way heavier. The footfall was I won't say you could feel it that far away, but I mean, you knew it was a thump. Whatever it was heavy, and it was making weird. I couldn't redo those sounds if I had to. There's kind of a grunting, growling sounds, and an occasional ooh wah, some of that nature. And everybody was on point. We cut the radio down and we was listening to it, and it was moving away from us. It kind of made me feel a little better because whatever it was, won't moving right at us. It was kind of doing a semicircle, to come out on the road, probably maybe 125 yards down behind us. But I had a spotlight in the truck, and it's one of them old ones. It had like a phone cord. You plug it in your cigarette lighter, and I think it was about a 1 million candle power. It was bright, but I tried to light it up, when it started moving away from us, when I threw the light up, and it was just hitting the kudzu, and I'm sure you guys know what kudzu's like. I mean, it was just throwing the light right back at. Every time I cut it on, it blinded me. So I didn't try to light it up no more right at that point, but it was steady moving, and it seemed like it was getting more agitated. The further it was going, the less friendly those sounds were. And but then again, it's moving away. Let it move away. Didn't nobody panic? Didn't know. I mean, we was letting it do its thing, and it got probably, I don't know, 10 to 15 yards before the wood line come out into a clearing. And when it got to that point, it stopped for a second, and then all of a sudden, man, it roared. It was a roar slash howl slash. I couldn't even pretend to imitate it. It was so loud. I thought it was gonna bust the windows in the truck. I don't know how it didn't bust the windows in that truck. I have no idea how those windows made it through that. But I mean, we froze. I mean, instantly. I mean, just like rigor mortis. I could not move. I mean, I could not. I managed to get my arm up and throw the light one more time. And when I threw it that last time, it stepped out. And when it stepped out, oh my God, my whole world changed. Our whole world changed right there. It's it looked to me. I measured. I rated it at about 8.5 to 9 foot. Here in a little while, I'll explain how I got that. I figured that out. When it stepped out, I was getting eye shine off of it, but it wasn't red or nothing. I mean, it was like a greenish yellow. But it was weaving or rocking left to right, left to right, left to right, and the eye shine would change a little between those weaves, and it sat there and done that. You know what? It seemed like a month, but I don't think it probably was no more than 30 seconds. And it on that last rock to the right, it went to step. Now I have to put this in perspective. We were in. It's 2 o'clock, and about 30 feet. Oh no, it's probably higher than that. Above it, it was down in a bottom. It had to come up a shoulder to get onto the road that we were on. So we were in. It's 2 o'clock and about 30 feet above it. And when it made that last rock to the right, we seen it leap towards that bank. When it made that leap, that's when we all broke in panic. I mean, man, we lost it. We started fighting for position, to get in the truck. Uh, it, I don't even remember getting in the truck. I don't. The next thing I remember was matting the gas and popping the clutch. I do not remember even getting in the truck. But by the time, we had got in there, and I mean, I took off spinning gravel, I mean, that thing closed the distance on us in a matter of seconds. I have never seen anything move the way that thing moved. It's almost cartoonish. The way they move, it's just you would think as big and as bulky as it is that it would be slow or stumbling. No, they are nimble, they are agile, they can move. And anyway, we all was taking off spinning gravel or whatnot. Now, my one of my buddies in the back, the guy that owned the truck, I was driving, but his truck, he had a little too much to drink, but he set up mobile homes for a living, and he had a few bottle jacks and cinder blocks in the back of the truck. Them old 30-ton bottle jacks, they weigh about 30 pounds. That's one of the jacks they used to jack up those mobile homes. And my buddy, the one that the boyfriend of the girl that snuck out, throwed the jack at it. It hit it in the chest, and I remember him saying it bounced off. It bounced off. It just bounced off. It basically a 30-ton trailer jack. It just bounced off of it. Didn't even slow it down. And the last thing I remember, it was a hard left curve, and I almost lost that truck. I almost rolled it down in that bottom of that thing. And I didn't. I saw it one time in the rear view. I seen its torso with the lights lighting up the torso, and then I almost lost it in that curve. And after that, I didn't take my eyes off the road no more. But I do know I was doing about 40 to 45 when I looked in the rear view and I could see its torso. If that tells you about how these things can move. I mean, I'm doing 40 and I can see its torso. So I mean, they can move, man. And back to that girl, man, it messed her up so bad. I mean, she was in a fetal position in the back of the truck. I mean, three of us lost control of our bladders. She was one of them. I mean, she was just. I had to take this girl home to her mom and daddy that had no idea she had even left the house and explain to them what happened to their daughter. That was just as hard, if not harder, than going through what we went through. That's the hardest thing I ever done was trying to look at that man. I'm gonna be honest with you. If that was my daughter, whoever told me that would have been looking at a firearm. I trying to tell this man. And long story short, his daughter, her mom finally got her in the house and got her around and got her talking a little bit. They thought that we had done something to hurt her, and she told them that no, she had seen something that scared her real bad. Said it was white. She didn't know what it was, and we tried to explain to her dad what it was, but he just kept had his arms crossed and he was looking at the ground and saying, I don't believe it, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. And honestly, looking back, I can't blame him. I wouldn't have believed it either. I really wouldn't. But I had to do it. I mean, that's anyway. She ended up going into a well, we all went into substance abuse. My choice was alcohol. She got into other things, and ultimately, eventually, she OD'd and died. But we would never ride after that again. And we went against my better judgment. This is how I know how tall it was. We went back the next day to get the jack. I mean, this was on a Sunday, and my buddy had to have his jack Monday morning for work. And back then, you couldn't go just anywhere on Sunday like you can now and get stuff. But we found the jack a good man, a good 50, 75, maybe even 100 yards from where it was thrown out at. I don't know if it picked it up and throwed it, or I don't know. I don't know how it got that far away from where it was thrown out at. It was bright red. If it wasn't bright red, I don't think we'd have ever found it. But we
So,
ended up finding it. And
Michael, let me get this straight, bud. You tell the viewers. Now y'all were running approximately 35, 40 mile an hour. And your buddy took a 30-pound jack, threw it at this thing. It bounced off of it, and never slowed it down.
It never even acknowledged it. You might as well hit a bus with it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this tells you the strength, the determination of these things. When they're after you, uh, they're going to get you.
Now, when you guys first saw, like when you first, seen it with a lot, did any of you guys say anything to each other, or was it more of just a shock and awe type situation, or I mean, were you guys like, we got to get out of here, or what? Did y'all say anything to each other?
No, not at all. We broke when that happened. We all broke at the same time. I mean, we scattered. The next thing I remember hearing is my buddy in the back of the truck screaming that the jack bounced off. The jack bounced off. Those are the only words I remember from beginning to end of that whole thing. I mean, we didn't even talk on the way to that girl's house. The only thing we said in the cab was, "What in the world are we gonna tell her mom and daddy?" That's the only thing we talked about after that night, anyway.
Yeah, that would be a bad situation having to bring somebody's daughter home after seeing something like that, and then try to sit and explain it to them. You know, I don't know if I could have done it or not.
Now, since
I
you said
I
you were
I couldn't believe it.
now you said that of course you're the driver. What was your thought process when you seen the creature? I mean, leading up, far as the sounds and everything, what processed through your head? What was your thought process?
The the scariest part of that is I didn't have one. I mean, I didn't. I was so in awe. I can't even explain that. It's no way to put that into words to make people understand it. Uh, you can't believe your eyes. You do not believe what you're looking at. You know it's real. You're sitting here looking at it, but you start to think, oh, okay, wait a minute, maybe I'm seeing something. But then everybody else is seeing it. Though that's when it really hits you. No, this thing is here, and this thing is real, and this thing is pissed. Uh, that's basically what I got from it immediately. Think thought process wise. I couldn't figure out why it was so angry. I don't know if it was mating season, or it had a young one close by, or maybe it was hunting and we disturbed its hunt. I was trying to figure out what we done to make it mad. Looking back, but at that time I wasn't thinking about that. At that time I was thinking, let's get the hell out of here.
And I
So
mean, at
basically,
that point, go ahead.
go ahead, Buck.
So I mean, because I know that you said that originally didn't really know what you were seeing. I mean, what did you think I mean, like your initial thoughts, like what did you think was going on? I mean, far as just a monster in the woods type situation, or did you think maybe, hey, this is a Bigfoot, or
Oh no! I had Bigfoot was the last thing. Back in the late '80s, Bigfoot was a thing in the Pacific Northwest, and very seldom seen. And I had never heard of any of them being white. That white factor was a big deal to us because Sasquatch ain't white, and that was one of the hardest things to swallow about the whole thing was it being white. That one factor of it being white, and that's what I'm saying. Information is so critical. If I'd have known back then that Bigfoot or Sasquatch could be white, I would be so much further ahead, in my recovery, and probably wouldn't have spiraled into alcoholism the way I did. Uh, that information is critical. But no, at the time we hadn't. It was 2 decades. We had no idea what text us. We talked about it amongst ourselves, and with some family members, and that's as far as it ever went. We knew it was humanoid, and we knew it was white, but you know, Sasquatch never crossed my mind until I heard about the Alabama white thing. Once I heard about that, everything came together. Everything made
everything
sense.
started making
Once I,
sense? Yeah.
once I heard about, yep.
Now, when you said you shine the spotlight on it, you actually seen eyes shine. Any definition to the eyes? Were they red? Were they, were they any coloration to their eyes when you actually shine the spotlight on its eyes?
No, looking back, two things stood out to me the most. As far as color goes, no, I never seen red eyes at all. I mean, it was when I first lit it up, it was kind of greenish, and then it would move a little, and it would switch yellow to green as it moved. Uh, but the two things that I noticed initially, right off the bat, was it had a really deep set brow ridge. And the thing that really knocked my socks off was how far apart the eyes were. Because when we went back that next day, we went down to where this thing come out of the woods, and you could see where it dug its feet into the embankment. It was kind of a soft shoulder, and it climbed a 30-foot bank and 3 steps. I mean, that tells you anything.
So
And the
they were
night that I'd
actually
seen it, it was a branch.
footprints when you guys went back.
Go ahead.
They were footprints when you guys went back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they were more like divots. You know, when you hit a golf ball, I know you know what a divot is. When you hit a golf ball, that's kind of
Hmm.
because the shoulder was so soft, the whole foot. You know, they got the mid-tarsal break, and the heel was steep, and we didn't think nothing about no casting. I mean, we didn't know nothing about that kind of stuff, but it just looked like 3 big divots, knocked out where it took those 3 steps up that bank. But the night before when I lit it up, there was a branch right above, right there at the top of his head. And we measured the next day, and it was a little over 8.5 feet from the ground to that branch.
So this was a big fella.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not the biggest I've heard about, but to us, it was enormous. You don't respect their size until you actually. It's uncanny. I mean, you don't respect that size until you actually see it. It's no words.
Now,
I
go ahead, Ricky.
Go ahead, Blake. Go ahead, Blake.
I mean, after the fact, I mean, had they ever been any sightings or any reports in in that general area, that you'd ever heard of from, just mouth to mouth situation?
It's funny you mention that. Uh, Actually, it is. In 1991, a girlfriend of mine, her daddy bought some property up there, and he witnessed it in 1991. Scared him so bad he sold his property. And believe it or not, I knew this girl back then, but did not find out till here recently about that encounter with her dad. And not only that, when I came forward, I met another guy named Travis that lives here close to where I do. He had Ricky Weaver probably knows Travis. Uh, I'm sure he does. Uh,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Travis had his sighting in 2000. Yeah, well, Travis's sighting was less than 5 miles of where I had mine, and his was in 2016, and he seen a blonde one. And me and Travis both are friends with this girl. I mean, I basically grew up with that girl, and I had all these years I had no idea her dad had that encounter, and it made him sell his property. And I just found that out in the past 12 months. And Travis was back in that area a few days ago, and man, he got some footprints that are mind-boggling. It's a couple I wouldn't be afraid to say he could have got thermal ridges out of.
Yeah, he sent me a couple of pics of those footprints, and they were enormous.
What's, I mean, 18,
Well,
19
that's
inches?
They were a couple of them probably 18, 19, and then there were a couple that he sent that was also what I would say juvenile, probably um, I'm going to say 10 to 12 inches. But barefoot, and he explained where he found these things, how far he was back in there when he found them. So it would be the fact that from where he found these things at, you wouldn't have any humans running around back there barefooted.
Shouldn't be, at least, yeah.
Right.
Oh no, no,
Now,
no, no. It's no that
Michael,
those
when
he
go
got.
ahead.
Yeah,
Now, when you, of course, I mean, you guys feared for your lives. I mean, of course, that's why you guys tried to get away the way you did. I mean, do you feel like if the creature would have, if you guys wouldn't have took off the way you did, um, I mean, do you think he would have attacked you guys? Do you think that was his initial
uh,
intentions, or?
Uh, I have been asked that question a lot, and I've answered it the same way every time. I have no doubt in my mind if that thing really wanted somebody out of that truck, it would have had them very easily. There's no way we could have got away from it. It wouldn't have been no stomping. It wouldn't have been no screaming. It wouldn't have been none of that. I think that thing wanted us out of there, and I think
It,
it bluff charged us, and it did one hell of a job because it got us out of there. But
it
honestly,
was
I
it
really
was more
think
of
if
an
it wanted one of
intimidation
us
thing.
or all of us, yeah, I think so.
Well, Michael, one question for you, buddy. You've had this what I like to call close encounter with this thing. Uh, what would your what would you tell the viewers watching this program and now and the ones that's going to watch it later? What would you tell them as far as uh, if they encounter one of these things? What would be your recommendation that they do?
Uh, First and foremost, don't run. Uh, Number two, don't make eye contact. Just look at the ground, submit, and slowly back up and leave as best as you can without panicking. Because that fight or flight hits, and I mean these are these creatures are not predictable. I mean, I tell people all the time, they all don't want to eat out of a gift basket or act on cue. I mean I think God gave them free will, and I think there's good and bad ones. But you have to treat them all like bad ones because you don't know which one you're dealing with. But I try to discourage people that goes out, and looking for these things. I try, at least I want them to be prepared and have all the tools they need because it can go
Well,
south.
Blake and I do this, on the norm. We go out, we set up, we call these things, we interact with them. We've had rocks thrown at us, we've had trees pushed over. Uh, so I know where you're coming from on this. I know how scared this can, an encounter on one of these things can be. Uh, but I also know that uh, we do know quite a bit about them now. But as far as knowing what actually intimidates these things to a point that they would actually hurt someone, we don't know. Uh, so my recommendation on that would be like Michael. Just folks, just if you encounter one of these things in the woods, just back out as quietly as you can, but as fast as you can. Get out of there and leave the area to them.
Well, just like I was saying a little bit ago, I mean they're just like humans. We wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes. You know, you can't predict the behavior of something. I mean, especially when if they are intelligent creatures. I mean, just the same as humans. I mean, we all have different days. We all have different attitudes. So I mean, who to say you don't come across one day and they're just having a bad day.
Right. I mean
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
completely
I
right.
understand that. Yeah,
And Michael, I
yeah, it is.
understand
I mean,
completely what you.
I'm gonna say that.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh no, go ahead, Rick. But I think we both started at the same time. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, man, I know what you've been through, and I know what you dealt with all these years, but I also know what you've accomplished as far as having your two Facebook pages up going. I know you've talked to people, you've tried to help them deal with having encounters such as this, and I want to commend you for that, man. There's not a lot of people like you in this world that would actually sit down and take the time that you take to learn what you can about these things, and to have these two groups that you have to help people that have had these encounters. And I do want to commend you for that, man.
Oh, thanks a lot, Rick. That means a lot to me, man. I believe people. I believe people until they give me a reason not to believe them. And I'll say this: I'm really glad that there was people there that believed me when I came forward. I mean, that's a kind of therapy that you can't even get from a psychiatrist, because the psychiatrist ain't gonna believe you no way. That you have no avenue to get this stuff off of you to talk to like-minded people. I mean, these groups are a fiber of people, that holds people together, that are ordinary people that has been through extraordinary circumstances. And I take everything at face value. I believe people until they give me a reason not to, and live and let live. Uh, that's my that's my outlook on it, pretty much.
Well, and that's one of the problems with encounters is there's so many people that are scared to come forward. There's if we would have a lot more encounters or encounter stories or people to come forward if people didn't feel like they would be criticized and not necessarily belittled, but not believed. I mean that's the problem is there are a lot of people that have encounters that you never hear about their encounters because they're scared of the ridicule.
That's right, man.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I think there's probably 10 to 20 untold encounters to every one told encounter. Because people do not want to come forward with that. It's a stigma.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. Even in today's times, when when we've had shows like Finding Bigfoot, the Expedition Bigfoot, all these documentaries that's been done on Bigfoot, but still, yet we still have a stigma among the American people that uh, affects them to the point that they won't tell about these encounters. Uh, you know, most of them play it off as an encounter with a bear or an encounter with some kind of other creature. They don't want to let their minds and their thoughts process what they've actually saw, and most of it is due to the fact that
That's
they don't want to
exactly
be
right. And
ridiculed.
yeah, I agree with that 100%. And that's one of the things I have kind of a little bit of issue with is these networks have done put Bigfoot in everybody's living room. I mean, all these big networks and these big shows have been put Bigfoot in everybody's living room. So everybody, they're getting a Bigfoot dolls. They doing this. I mean, they eat breakfast out of a Bigfoot bowl. I mean, it's in everybody's living room, and it's done good things and bad things for the community. And in my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, I believe more bad than good. They are, you not you all they people are already saying we need to go in and save them. That's a crock. They don't need nothing from us. They have never needed nothing from us. And this game that's being played is strictly on their rules. Period. And it's just Bigfoot's been commercialized, and I hate to see somebody get hurt or killed because Bigfoot was in their living room growing up.
Yeah.
Right. And I completely agree with you on that, Michael. It's to the point that uh, you know, who's to say that some family group goes out here with their 3 or 4 year old son or daughter, whom, as you say, has uh, seen Bigfoot their whole life, seen the images of Bigfoot. They've been told, oh, that these creatures are lovable teddy bears, and they're not. I mean, uh, I don't know about anybody. I don't know about you, Blake, or you, Michael, or anyone watching us or that's going to watch us. Uh, I don't know how y'all feel or what y'all's feelings are toward these creatures, but I don't want my 4 year old out here running around. Oh, look, Daddy, it's Bigfoot. I'm going to go out here and play with him. I don't want that at all because there's no telling what these creatures are going to do.
Well, just as me and you, Ricky. I mean, we've had a lot of encounters together, and I mean, like, my thing on it, like, we've never had like a. I mean, we've had encounters where I felt uneasy, but me personally, I've never had an encounter where I'm like feared for my life. Um, definitely, just kind of fear takes over a little bit. But I mean, I've never personally had an encounter like where I'm like, this is it. Like, this creature just gonna tear me to shreds type situation. But then again, we always respect their territory. Like, you got to know that boundary of, hey, leave them alone.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're exactly right, Blake. You've got to know what the boundaries are and how far you can push those boundaries. Because my feelings is that these creatures, like Michael said, 8.5 foot creature. Uh, you know, man, can you imagine standing, you know, face to face with an 8.5 foot creature that weighs 800 to 1,000 pounds, and what that sucker could actually do to you? And people don't realize this when they go out looking for them.
That's absolutely right. It's the more I've looked into these things, it's rules with them. I could elaborate on that other time. We have more time, but I'm still trying to learn it. The process. I mean, I already know they exist. I never researched if they exist. Hell, I know they do. I've seen one. It's the behavior that keeps me digging. Uh, I do not ever want to see another one face to face ever. I never want to see another one. But I study the behavior. I know I have my opinion what they are. Now let's just figure out what their agenda is. I mean, it's got to mean something.
Okay, I quit. Why are you peeing on front of my bumper?
Blake, what's your thoughts on the deal, buddy?
You know, we talked about it many times before, but I mean, we really, just it's mainly personal opinions. We've all had different encounters with the creatures. Um, just like Michael, he had necessarily not a good encounter. Me personally, I don't want to say I've ever had a bad encounter. I mean, we've definitely been scared. I mean, just like the night we had that howl when we were up close to the bank in the boat. I mean, that if that, if he wanted to, attack us or whatever, he definitely could have. And I think these creatures a lot of time, they it's more the intimidation factor than anything. Going back to like the missing 411. I mean, plenty of people definitely come up missing that there no explanation for. Nobody, nobody's ever found, so forth, whatever that must be. But it just I think it's just like I was saying before. It's they have more of human tendencies than a lot of people realize. They're all different, far as from creature to creature. I do believe. Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's wild at the way these things do, the behavior they have, the characteristics that they have that are common with human. Um, and I'm sure Michael will agree. You know, if these things actually wanted to kill you, they could do it with one swipe of their hand. But personally, I'm not going to stand there toe to toe with one and see what the outcome's actually going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. I kind of rib with people all the time, but I actually mean what I'm saying. If you want to see Bigfoot, quit looking for it. Go into a hot zone, do your normal thing, cook you some food, and just carry on camp. They'll find you. They'll find you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'll agree with you 100%. If you're going into the woods and and you're hell bent on seeing one of these things, you know, you don't have to get out there and actually stomp the woods down because just like Michael said, go out there, build you up a fire, uh, throw you on some hot dogs, some hamburgers, and these creatures are very curious. They are a very curious type creature, and they will come and they will check you out. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to be there checking you out, and you're not even going to know it.
I think they've been doing that all our life, probably.
Oh, I have too.
And
I
our
mean,
ancestors.
that goes back to Blake, myself, my roommate Michael Hill, my nephew Kenny. We went down to the lake one morning at Altoona Lake and got out and we walked around the lake. And dude, I'm gonna tell you what, we encountered a smell that I have never smelled anything like it in my life. This was so strong and so pungent that it was actually bringing tears to my eyes. And this carried on for about 45 minutes until I guess this thing moved out of the area. But you know, and I've had people report this to me over the last 15, 20 years about having encounters with these things, uh, about this awful smell that they have. And if you're in the woods and you encounter something like that, uh, you know, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't. We didn't smell anything that night that we saw it. I mean, we didn't smell anything at all. Looking back, it was awful quiet down there. I mean, no cicadas, no crickets, no frogs, no. I mean, it was almost too quiet, if that makes any sense. The normal sounds you're used to hearing in Virginia in summertime, the cicadas will deafen you literally. And looking back, I don't remember hearing much of anything. Either that, or I guess it traumatized me so bad I just don't remember it. But memory serves, I don't. It was eerily quiet.
Well, 80% of the reports, Michael, that I've gotten over the years from people where they've had encounters with these things, they tell me just exactly like you're telling it right now, that the woods just become completely silent, and everything in the woods when these things are around. And that's one sign to look for when you're out there.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
just like
it's like time stands still.
just
Well,
like
now,
you were
Michael,
saying,
let me ask. Oh, go ahead, Blake.
just like you were saying about the smell, Ricky. That only time. I mean, I've only smelled that smell 3 or 4 times in my life, and it's only been down there at the lake. And talking about how Michael said the woods just become quiet. How many times we've been down to Alatoona and down there to the cemetery, and you just get that eerie feeling, and you hear nothing. Like silence becomes a real thing. Like I mean, you even though you're out in the open and everything, like you never expect the world to be as quiet as it can be, like in that situation.
Right. I mean, you're out in
Yeah,
the
I don't
woods.
even
You're out in the
remember hearing the
forest.
wind. I don't remember even hearing the wind blowing. at all. Looking back,
I mean, it's an eerie feeling when you run up on one of these things. When you encounter one of them and they're there and you know they're there, it is. It's an eerie. It's an eerie feeling. It's a feeling like you'll never have. Never. You will have never had a feeling like that, and 9 times out of 10, you'll never have a feeling like that again.
yeah, that's a different level of that's a primal fear. That's the only way I know how to put it. I mean, when you lose control of your body and don't even feel it, I mean, you're scared. I mean, terrified. And these things have that effect on people. I mean, it happened to us, you know. Uh, I'll never go back in the woods no more looking for them. But you know, if I can enlighten a few folks and get through, and you know, not even really tell them what to do, just be there if they need me. You know, if they need to ask me a question, you know, just be there. That's kind of what I've got to now. That and speaking out like this, you know, trying to reach people.
Right. I mean, it's unreal. You know what these things how these things can actually traumatize you. The encounters with these things. It's something that we can sit here and we can tell people this, until we're blue in the face. But until they actually encounter one of these things themselves, they're never really going to know the fear that's associated with it.
And Michael,
Yeah, there are no words.
is that
Go
one
ahead,
thing that
Blake.
you
I'm
would have
sorry.
ever expected? That is, would it, looking back at it, would you ever expect it to not necessarily traumatize you like it has, but I mean, you know, as you've gotten older, has your thought process about it changed? Um,
Uh, since I came forward, yes. Uh, if I knew back then what I know now, like I said, there's that information factor again. Uh, you know, I'd have come out a lot sooner, and came forward. But you know that you cannot have too much information. It not where this crypto field is concerned. I mean, there's no cap for information. The more information you have, the better decisions you will make. You know, and, and that goes for anybody. You know, people like myself that don't, go in the woods, and people like you guys, people that do go to the woods. You know, and God bless y'all, because if it weren't for guys like you out in the field, I couldn't learn none of this stuff that I have learned. And because I mean, man, I'm terrified to go back in there. I'll never. I'm not. I'm done with that. I'm not done with them. I'm just done with that. I mean, I can't handle that another time in my life. I mean, I just
yeah,
can't.
you're not going to go out looking for them. Pretty much what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah.
You got any
Well,
questions,
guys, I don't
Ricky?
know what it is as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what it is, that causes me uh, to get back out there and hunt these things. Um, I know, over the last few months I've been kind of laid up and hadn't been able to get out there, but I'm hoping to be able to here shortly. But it's But as you say, Michael, it's something that there's a part of you it does change. But as far as I'm concerned, I saw excuse me, I saw my first when I had my first encounter back in 1981 with a juvenile, and uh, it was basically just a luck of the draw encounter. I saw this thing about the same time it saw me. The encounter might have lasted 50 seconds or so before it turned and bound back into the woods and was gone. Uh, but like I said, this was 1981, and I was like you, Michael. At that time, you didn't get out and tell people. that you'd seen a Sasquatch because they'd had you down here at Rome or over at Dalton Summers in a loony bin with a straight jacket on. Uh, but I'm proud that because of shows like I mentioned before, like even as far as the BFRO is concerned, even podcasts like the one we're on now, and YouTube channels like yours, Michael, like mine, we we put the information out there for people to see. And I try to tell people that these things are wild creatures. They're not a teddy bear. There's not something to just run up and grab them and hug them or whatever. And these things will not give you a piggyback ride. Uh, uh, you know, Stay away from them. That's all I can say. If you encounter one, get out of there as quick as you can.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Absolutely. And use your head when you get out. Don't just, break like we did. I'm wondering if us breaking the way we did agitated it. But my advice now would definitely be, don't make eye contact. Back out slow. Just submit and get out of there. I agree with you, Ricky, 100%. Just don't let
Well,
fear take over. You have to control it long enough to save yourself.
that goes
Don't don't
back, that goes back like Blake said earlier. We don't know what agitate these things. We don't know what causes them to turn on a dime. We don't know what causes it. And until we do, um, like you say, Michael, it's best just back out and leave it with them. And yeah, and don't just break and run because as
don't
as
don't
with
freak
most
out. Don't freak out,
right,
but leave with respect. I mean, just mainly just just kind of act like they're not there, but let them know that they're there at the same time. I guess if that makes any sense.
Amen. I totally agree.
well, hey, Michael, I understand you've got a radio program that you're going to start. You want to share a little bit of that with our viewers?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm in the process of getting it off the ground. I got my mic in. Obviously, I'm talking on. I got my mic, but that camera I ordered from Amazon, it wouldn't even power on, so I had to send it back. I'm waiting to get my, a good camera in here. And then, yeah, it's I've already created a channel. It's Blue Ridge Cryptid Research, and it should be pretty easy to find. If you have any trouble, you can go through one of you guys or just come straight at me, and I try to give you a link to it. But yeah, and it's in the upcoming near future. Uh, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I really am, because I like helping people. I really do, and that's really the whole reason I'm launching it. And it's like we saw about earlier. You just can't run out and talk to people about this stuff. You just can't do it. We don't live in a society where you can. The government just admitted UFOs exist. They're nowhere near ready to talk about a Sasquatch.
Oh, you got that right. They more government cover-ups when it comes to Sasquatch than they are anything else. I do believe. Um, Another thing, Michael, I want to ask you, bud. You know, I've had encounters over the years where people talk of mind speak. These things actually being able to communicate with you uh, without ever actually speaking. Uh, what's your thoughts on that, bud?
Uh, I haven't really felt it. I really couldn't even give you an educated guess. I I went right after I came forward. I was in the kitchen, and the wood line ain't but about 30 feet from my back door. And I just, for some reason or other, something popped in my head and it said, we weren't the ones that chased you. And I'm wondering if, I've wondered since that happened if, maybe I was just imagining things, or maybe it was trying to say, look, we're a different group. We're not the ones that chased you, or, you know, I don't even know if that's even a thing, but that's about as close as I can get. But I haven't experienced it myself. And to be honest with you, I don't want to. But, your mind is your safe place. And if something gets in there,
Yeah, you
man,
got.
that, you're
Yeah,
miserable. You're miserable from then on out.
yeah, you got
Right.
something starts interfering with that. It's a little scary.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you, bud. We're coming up on the hour here. I want to thank you, bud, for coming on and sharing your story with our viewers tonight. As always, Blake, thank you, bud. Um,
And thank you,
and Michael,
Michael.
if there's
And
anything we can do, that Blake and I can do whatsoever in helping you get your YouTube channel up and going, all you got to do, man, you've got my email address. Just email me or call me directly. Whatever we can help, any way we can help you on it, we'll do it.
yep, and thank you, Michael, for coming on the show.
I
Like
appreciate
like
that,
Ricky
man.
just said, if there anything we can do for you, brother, just let us know.
If you get hold, hey man, if you get
I
hold of
won't
any
hesitate,
evidence
brother.
that
It
you
was good
think,
to meet. It was.
if you happen to get a hold of any evidence that you think we might want to take a look at, just holler at us. I'd be glad to look at it, give you my thoughts on it, and I'll do the same to you.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. I really appreciate that, Dave. Have you seen Travis's thermal hit that he got in that area down there?
Yeah, yeah, I saw one that he posted. I think like 3, 4 months ago. I think he got it back in the winter. And yeah, from the thermal hit, you could actually tell that this was a big creature. Uh, I would say from the looks of it, probably a 9 footer. And it would be something that I would not want to tangle with. I can tell you that now.
Yeah, me either. Those tracks he found were at ground zero when my encounter happened. I mean, that's pretty much ground zero. And that's also whether the gentleman in 91 sold his property. He had his there, and Travis had his there with a blonde one in 2016. But I think it's kind of odd that it's like it's a different strain because that girl, her dad seen it. He seen a white one. I seen a white one, and Travis said the one he saw was blonde. But
Now, do
yeah, but
you
yeah, those tracks he shows you pretty much ground zero where mine happened.
now what's your theory on the blonde thing? I mean, do you think that maybe could be I mean, I really don't know how to put what I'm trying to say. Like, maybe it was maybe they start out that particular family or particular whatever you want to call it. I mean, maybe a juvenile that once they start to age, they start turning gray, or I mean, or what do you have any theory on maybe that's from the same family, or why in that same area are you seeing white and blonde together? I guess is what
Well,
I'm trying to say.
we we've wondered if it was not the same creature but the same bloodline. But I have noticed along the Appalachian Trail, it's specifically one image you got guys can get it on YouTube. It's a white one. A guy goes out in his backyard with a flashlight and he gets it. It's in Pennsylvania, and
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
man,
seen
he
it.
caught
Yep.
something. I mean,
Yep.
well, that's as close as I can get you to what we saw. And yeah, we're wondering if it's the same bloodline. The one when me and that girl's daddy, that could have been actually the same creature because he said white too. He said it was an abomination, a white beast is what he called it. He didn't know what he saw either. There wasn't no internet back then, like we, just talking about. The information, man, I just can't say that word enough.
It's something that uh, if they've been in that area that long, it has to be a family. It has to be a family group um, that's in the area. And that goes back to we don't know how long these creatures live. Uh, I've had people tell me, oh, they live to be 200, 300 years old. We don't know that. We've never had a body to study, so we can't tell what the life expectancy of these animals are. Uh, you know, they could be 200, 300 years old, could live to be that age. Then they could be more like man and live 70, 80 years. That's just something we don't know.
Yeah, that's
When
exactly right. And if you think about it, if you think about a redhead human, is when they get older, their head turns snow white, and it makes you wonder if maybe the one we saw maybe was red in his younger days. It's too many variables to really. It's pretty much all speculation, really. But I mean,
well,
it's in the mix. That's a possibility.
here's one of my things about it, and this is, I guess it's on track, but a little different. We're one of the only creatures on Earth, as far as humans, that get skin cancer, that have the health problems that we do from, I don't know really how to put
From
what
all the
I'm trying
bad
to say.
habits we've got.
Well, not only that, like, we're actually, I'm a firm believer we're actually aliens on this Earth. I know it's a little going a little off track, but it's kind of the same subject. You know, where did where did Sasquatch come? Where did Bigfoot come from? Are they a creature from a different dimension? Are they part human? Um, me and a buddy was having this conversation talking about humans being the only ones on Earth that don't live that long. What you were saying about Bigfoot's, where this come from is what you were saying about how long Bigfoots live. We don't know how long they live. We're one of the only few creatures on Earth other than dogs, that don't really have a long lifespan. There are a lot of creatures on Earth that actually live a lot longer than we do. So if Bigfoot has that humanoid connection, do they live as long as humans do, 60, 70, 80 years, 90 years in certain circumstances, or do they live, 200 or 300 years? Like, so I mean, it's
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been proven. Take the great white shark for instance. The great white shark. They say that they found those that have been like 250 years old,
hmm
and the sea turtles. Those things live to be 250 years old or older.
well,
So yeah, but that goes
science
back
kind
to
of proved that we're not meant to be on this earth. We're not the gravity. That's one thing. We're one of the only creatures that have back problems and everything. And I don't want to say, I guess it's going into a different subject, but you know, there are things that kind of support the evidence that we're not supposed to be on this earth. We get skin cancer from being out in the sun too long. What other creature does that? We have back problems, kind of supporting that we're not meant to be in the, not really meant, but the gravity aspect of Earth. I mean, it, and if you want to connect that to Bigfoot, we don't really know that much, about Bigfoot as far as that circumstance goes. So I mean, they could live, a couple hundred years, or they could have the lifespan we have.
right. We just
I
don't
was
know.
going to inject a little something right here. It's something that in my research I ran up on a lot, and Travis's flare hit. I brought that up for a reason because I'm wondering, and this is strictly speculation, it's strictly my opinion, but I'm wondering when you see thermal hits on them, 9 times out of 10, those things are hot. If they have a body temperature that high, imagine the immune system you would have. COVID can't even survive that kind of high body temperature. And I really, that's one of my theories, because I have seen some hot flare hits. I mean, hot. And just think about the bacteria would have basically no effect on them because it can't survive their higher body temp. But, there again, just speculation. And, I just wanted to throw it out there. Something I thought about.
Well, that's like about 3 months ago. We were over on Pigeon Mountain. The group that I formerly with, um, uh, me and a bunch of the members, Smith was over there, and we were doing a camp out investigation, and we caught what we perceived to be three creatures on thermal. Um, and then one creature down at the creek below where we were at. Uh, but those things, you could actually turn the thermal on those, and you're right. The thermal would show up red, smoking hot on those. But then you could turn it toward one of us, and you got more of a dull orange color to it. Instead of having a real deep red color, you got more of a dull orange color. So that leads me to believe that their body temperatures have to be uh, operating at a higher level than what ours does.
Yeah, that would help them get through hard winters too. That kind of body heat.
Exactly right, and you know that goes back to the point that there's never been there we don't have a body for science to cut up and from to do autopsies on or whatever, uh, or supposedly we don't, uh, or we never have, but and that goes back to the point, myself, I have never believed in killing one of these things just so science could cut it up to see what makes them tick. I do not believe in it. If a creature lives that long and lives to get 10, 12 foot tall, I'm not going to go out here and shoot one just so some scientist can cut it up and say, oh, after all these years, say, oh, they are real. I'm not going to do it.
I don't think mainstream media will ever truly accept them because there's too much of a gray area with where they're concerned. And that when Melba Ketchum done her the genome project with Scott Carpenter, she sent samples to 3 different universities, and they was trying to figure out what in the hell the daddy was. The mitochondrial DNA from the mom was human, but the nuclear DNA from the male was nothing they had ever seen before. And when she told them, they asked her, wait a minute, what was that sample from? And she told them Sasquatch. And as soon as she done that, all 3 of them universities dropped her like a hot potato. And literally, they have came out and tried to ruin the woman's reputation. But I hear through the grapevine she's getting ready to start back up, and this time she's not only doing Bigfoot, she's doing other cryptids as well, and she's also asking for samples, good samples.
Right, and I know a guy that's got a big hair sample, actually a big container of hair samples that lives down at Firemount that I have actually tried to talk him into sending it in to her. Um, can't get him to part with it at all, though, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, you need a couple with the follicle still at the bottom. I didn't even know that until I started following Melba a little bit. But the root, there's hardly any DNA at all in the hair. All the DNA is at the root, and
Yeah, the
the
very
more
root
of that
system
root
of
you
it, yeah.
get, the better it's that. Yeah, exactly right.
All right, well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Michael, again, thank you, bud, for joining us. If there's anything we can do for you, you just all you got to do is just holler, dude, and we'll be there.
Yep. Thank
If you want us to appear on, if if you'd
Thank,
like for us to appear on your show one night, just give us a holler, and we'll be glad to do it.
I definitely will.
Blake, you got anything
Like I
else
said,
for
I
it?
just got the mic up and running.
Now, I'd just like to give a thank you to Michael.
Y'all
for
go
coming
ahead.
in.
I won't go say nothing important.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I was just gonna thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yep. Same here, Michael.
Oh yeah, likewise, Michael.
Yep. Thank you for coming on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to another end of the broadcast. As I always tell everybody, if you're out in the woods, on a picnic, hiking, whatever, and you happen to encounter one of these things, just slowly back out of the area, uh, and let them have it, because we don't know, as Michael told you tonight, we don't know what triggers these things. We don't know what pisses them off. So just back out, let them have it, and live to hunt them again another day. Good night, everybody. Thanks a lot. And thank those who will view this in the future. Blake, thank you, bud, for being here. Michael, again, thank you. Good night, everybody.
You're entirely welcome. Good night.
Well, I'm trying to get us off here, boys. Well, what's wrong with this thing?